guys, welcome to Life Unlocked with me, Jordan, and thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it so much. I hope you like and subscribe. Today we have a guest. This is Derek. He is in recovery and he's going to share his story today. So I hope you guys enjoy and hopefully we can get some cool stories out of you.
Yeah. You just want me to tell my
from the beginning.
I started out a couple years after we were married, about 2000, somewhere around there. We were just working out in the backyard and I picked something up, did something to my back where it like messed up some discs back there.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of dealt with that for a little while, but every once in a while I would like get out of bed in the morning and just step the wrong way and I would collapse on the floor. I'd have to have people come pick me up because I couldn't even stand up. Went into the doctor, tried all the physical therapy.
How old were you when this happened?
I was probably 28, so
geez.
pretty young. Yeah. So we did the physical therapy, the chiropractors, all that kind of stuff, and it just wasn't doing any good. So I went in and they put me on pain pills. And so this was back probably 2001 or 2. And back at that time, I don't know if you are familiar with opiates, but back at that point, they were like kind of passing them out like candy to people.
Yep.
Like
very familiar.
There were a lot of there's been lots of movies and different things about the industry and what they did, but I was on those and just kind of steadily kept going up from the lowest Loratab up to Percocet, and then finally got on Oxycontin over the course of a couple years, I think. And then I ended up having back surgery. Went in to get the surgery, and the doctor asked like what I had been taking, like what pills I had been on. So I just kind of listed all of them and said I was on Loratab, Percocet, and Oxycontin. So after the surgery, we were being wheeled out, and the doctor gave my wife a prescription for 100 of each one.
Of the Percocet, Loratab, and Oxys?
Yeah, I don't know if he just assumed that was.
Gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. So we went home, and like at that point, I think I'd been using probably quite a few more than I should.
Right.
But at that point, I had like to what I thought was like unlimited amount. So I was using them, just to not feel anything at all.
Yeah.
And about every 2 weeks, they would mail 3 more prescriptions down.
Yeah, so, they don't do it like that anymore.
No, they don't. It's probably a good thing that it swung too far the other way. But so I did that for probably a year and was pretty hooked on them.
Yeah, I bet.
I was doctor shopping. I was doing all the things back then. They weren't electronic, so you could just go to a different doctor and get it. And probably around 2002, 2003, my doctor that I was seeing came in with a printout, and he had like the amount of pills I had had for the last month. It was like 3,000, a little over 3,000. So he told me I was done. I wasn't going to get any more, so they kind of just cut me off.
This cold turkey deal?
Yeah. And so I had this bright idea at this point as I was going through the withdrawals and stuff that I could go and rob a pharmacy. So I don't know where that came from, but in my head it made perfect sense.
Right. Well, when you're in your addiction, it does.
Yeah. I could go in, I could do this, I'd have more pills, and then I wasn't thinking anything other than that. Right. So I went into Kmart. I used to be Kmart here, and just walked in, had a painter's mask on, walked into the pharmacy and told them what I wanted. They gave them to me and I ran out the door.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I ended up getting caught a couple days later and went to jail. And so I spent about a month in jail, and during that time I was able to get off of them, but we had to go to court, all that kind of stuff, and they were trying to get me to go to rehab. And I had a therapist here in town that was a neighbor of ours that went into the judge and said, hey, let me take him into my practice here, just do like an intensive outpatient, we'll test him and we'll do all that kind of stuff, and we will, that way he can stay with his family, kind of still provide for them, because I was the only one. I was working. My wife was a stay-at-home mom of 2. So the judge kind of went for that, and I went to his therapy a few times a week. I was doing like the 12-step programs. I did the LDS 12-step program. I did the Alcoholics Anonymous. Narcotics Anonymous, all of those things.
Yeah.
So that was, I guess I should mention prior to that, I was arrested one time before for a day, but I had taken pills from my father-in-law.
Okay.
And they arrested me and sent me in for a day, and then I got out. That didn't stop me from using. I would pretty much take them from anyone
that you could.
Yeah, anyone that I could. There wasn't really anything. Even my wife, when she was pregnant, I took some of hers. So I did a lot of things that, looking back now, I would never have done.
Yeah.
But in that moment, that was kind of the only thing that mattered to me.
Yep. I get it.
Yeah. So after jail and after court and everything, I ended up just kind of doing therapy with him for probably a year or so. And he had me like helping with the radio show and kind of like told me that I should go into this line of work. So I, at the time, couldn't find a job really anywhere. I took a job working for, it was 30 at this point. I was 30. I took a job working for $7 an hour doing catering. Nice. High school kids were there making more than me. And so I was doing at least 80 to 100 hours a week to try and make sure that our bills were paid and stuff. Dang. So when I went to jail, we got kicked out of we were in the kind of the low income housing, Stone Ridge. When we got kicked out of there, my wife got kicked out of there while I was in jail. So we got moved down into Hurricane, and that's happened to be where this therapist lived. So it was kind of, I think, meant to be. Yeah. But I was doing catering for about 3 years. Just like I got up to like $7.50 an hour or something as a 30-year-old.
Not too far.
Yeah, 30-year-old with 2 kids. And my wife and I were talking, and we decided we needed to do something different. And I had always kind of been a person anywhere I worked where people would just come up and tell me their problems and stuff. And so I thought, well, this guy really helped me, saved my life. Maybe I should do that. So I went back to school. And while I was in school, I moved jobs once, and I got fired. Right before Christmas, they replaced me with 2 people that they could pay less. I was working at a treatment center as a cook. And so I didn't have a job at the time, so we decided to take this job up north in a place called Erda, Utah. It's like a little town just outside of Tooele. Okay. And we were treatment parents. So we lived in a treatment house with 10 teenage girls. Oh, wow. And my wife and I and our 2 kids. So we...
I bet that was fun for you guys with 2 little kids.
It was actually a good experience, and I mean, there was a lot of things that happened there, but just picture living with 10 teenage girls who've been sent away from home for all kinds of problems. Right. And they basically became our daughters for a year to a year and a half each. So that's cool, though. Anywhere we would go, we would take them. If our kids had like a school function, a thing like that, we'd take them. That's awesome. So just load them all in this big van, and we would just drive them around. They went shopping with us. They went everywhere with us. That's cool. So we started doing that, and during that time we ended up having 2 more kids after we were told we couldn't have any more. So really? Yeah, so I've got 2 kids. I have a 25-year-old and a 21-year-old, and then we tried for about 9 years. And
so you got a big gap.
Yeah, they said, you guys are done. We don't know why, but you're not going to have any more kids. So we took that job and moved up there and had 2 more kids. So
how long have you been sober?
So I've been sober since 2005.
2005.
Yeah,
so what made you want to? Was it going to jail and getting off of it that way? Is that what made you kind of
get off of it?
Yeah, and also not want to keep going back.
I didn't want to lose my family. Yeah. And my wife had a lot of people tell her that she should divorce me while I was in jail. Yeah. And luckily she didn't. But I remember driving to the jail, and I drove right past our house, and I knew she was there with the kids, and I thought that I'd lost all of this. Really the only thing that mattered to me at that point. That was done. Like we'd been married about 8 years, I think, at this time. So wow. And she got a lot of pressure from people to divorce me, but she didn't. She kind of stuck with me, luckily. But I just decided at that point, like, I don't want to do that and end up losing
everything that matters.
Yeah, it really was the only thing. I didn't care about jobs. I didn't care about anything else. That was what I cared about. I didn't realize it at the moment, kind of took a big shock for me to see it. So
Yeah.
yeah, but that was the moment right there as I was driving past our house that it's like I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So.
I think everybody hits that moment at some point, you know.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you're on and how long you've been on it. And I think the longer, the harder it is.
Yeah. And I mean, I went from pain pills to meth and back to pain pills. And
oh, so you dabbled in a little bit of everything then.
Yeah, I did. A little bit of most things. Yeah. So whatever, it was almost whatever I could get that would kind of, I guess, numb what I was feeling.
Yep, I get that. I've heard this saying that says, well, it was a girl that said this. It was, and she was in recovery, and she said, I would take whatever was free, yours, mine, and whatever I could get. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and if it cost money, I'd figure out a way to get the money to do it. So
you always do.
Yeah. So I really had never had much of a problem. I mean, in high school, I smoked and chewed, that kind of stuff, but I had been able to just stop those, like when they just stop. And, you know, we would use pain pills once in a while if we had them in high school. Like, here's like a pain pill, go have fun. Yeah. But it wasn't until I think my father died that I really kind of started numbing up. Yeah. That stuff. So.
And that was that before your back injury?
No, it was before. I just kind of shelved it for a long time. I was on an LDS mission at the time. My dad had a heart attack and died.
Oh,
he was 46.
Wow, so, that's young.
Yeah. So, and I think I just kind of like just stuffed it down, and so that kind of kept everything from coming back up. Yeah. So it was kind of a big deal. So I did a lot of work on therapy on that to kind of uncover that stuff. But I think that's kind of the catalyst for, I want to feel these things. Yeah. So I'm going to use whatever I can use to numb it up for a while. So
make it go away.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been long road to being clean, but it's been quite a while now. So
yeah, it's 20 years now. Yeah. That's crazy. That's awesome. So what made you want to decide to become a therapist?
I think the only reason that I'm sober is because this therapist took an interest in me. And I don't even remember any of the things he ever taught me. I don't remember any of the words he ever said, but I do remember whenever I would go there, he made me feel like I mattered. Yeah. I don't really know how to explain it. He just made me feel special. Like he knew, like he saw past all of that stuff and he knew that I was a decent person. Right. And that's what he made me feel like every single time, you know, whether I was going in for a session or if we were doing the radio show or whatever we were doing. And I just remember it's like, because of that, I decided, like, I kind of stayed clean. And that was kind of the turning point for me. Like, because of the work he did for me and just the way he treated me, I think that's why I was successful. That's awesome. So, you know, I decided I wanted to kind of do that same thing for other people. Yeah, so,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I hadn't been to school since high school, so it was been like...
that was a big shock.
Yeah, going back as a 30-year-old was kind of different. You go sit in class with all these like young kids. Yeah. It was, you know, a little embarrassing and quite a bit harder. I hadn't done any schoolwork for years. Yeah. I didn't know, like back when I was in high school, we didn't have computers, that kind of stuff, like no internet. And now we did, and
so it was very different for you.
It was, yes. My first paper, I almost got kicked out of the class because I like wrote the paper and I found all this stuff on the line. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'm just going to put all this in this paper. I didn't know anything about like citing your sources or anything. So I'm this old man and I get called up in front of the class and told that I plagiarized the whole paper.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So
copyright, basically.
Yeah, so I had to go and write another paper on plagiarism. But yeah, it was interesting going back and getting back into school after that many years off. But,
yeah, I bet. How long were you in school for?
6 years.
6 years?
Yeah, I had to go get my bachelor's and then I had to go get a master's.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's awesome.
It was a long road, but it's been paying off since then.
I'm sure it has.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. I think it's really cool to hear people come from things like that and they're able to turn their lives around, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this, you know, just share people's inspiring stories, and
that's good.
Hopefully it reaches someone.
Yeah, well, even the people who are doing it, if we're able to get our stories out, I think it really helps because like you always hear that thing. I don't know if you went to treatment or anything, but this
Yeah.
secrets keep you sick thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I came out of jail, I didn't want to see anyone because I was from Washington here. We came from like nice family and stuff, and here I am. Like, nobody knew I even had an addiction until I got arrested and was on the news and on the front page of the Spectrum. That's how my family found out about it. That's how everybody did. And so when I got out, I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I kind of hid for a while. That's why we moved. Kind of one of the reasons we moved up north is I didn't have to see anybody here anymore. So it took a long time before I was comfortable enough to like be around people and share my story. But I think it's been really helpful for me to open up about it and get rid of any shame that I have around it, because it can be a shameful thing. You hurt people, you steal, from people that you love and care about, people you don't even know. But being able to just sit down and talk about it and share it with people is a huge healing part of my process.
So, it really is.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. So you said you have 4 kids?
Yes. Yep.
So how young are your youngest 2?
My youngest 2 are 11 and 7.
Wow.
So they're like 2 separate families. They look exactly like each other. Like it's boy, girl, and the 2 younger ones look almost identical to our 2 oldest when they were the same age. So yeah, it's weird. So we get to kind of redo the parenting. Anything we messed up on the first 2, right? Got a chance to redo it. So
that's kind of how I feel too. Like with my older one, I feel like I kind of messed up parenting her because I was so wrapped up in my addiction, and I felt it, happening with my younger 2, and it was just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, I've realized we all mess up our kids. Like there's nobody that gets out of being a parent without some kind of damage to your kid. You just kind of hope to do less than the generation before, and you just kind of try and do better. But so
do you have any worries about your kids, like in addiction and stuff like that?
No, I've been really open with my kids. I mean, the 2 older ones were, I think, 4 and maybe not even 1 when I went to jail. So they don't have any real memories of me even being addicted. But I have been very open about it with them for most of their life. I mean, when they were old enough to know what it was, like we talked about me going to jail, what happened, what I was doing. I feel like the more open I am with it, the less chance they're gonna do that kind of stuff.
I agree. In the same way.
And my younger one, even my 11-year-old now, he knows all about it. I got a tattoo kind of for my sobriety, and so
can I see it?
Yeah. So it's a chemical equation for runner's high. So
runner's
high. Yeah. Have you ever heard of runner's high? It's like the really good feeling you get when you run like marathons and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So the other way I got clean was I had this bishop that lived in the area that we were at, and he would invite me to go running with him in the mornings. And so my wife talked me into running a 5K, and him and I would go up at like 5 in the morning to go running every day. Wow. I hated it.
Hated it?
I did. But I told her I'd do the 5K. So we trained for that. I ran a 5K. I loved it. And then I just kept going. I ended up running like 2 full marathons, St. George marathons, I think 10 half marathons, and a couple of the 250-mile relay things.
Wow.
But that was the other thing that kept me sober, is I would go out and run. If I had cravings or anything like that, I would put my shoes on and go out and run. And so I kind of, like this thing here, I have little jail bars on this side here and a 26.2 right here, because the running is what I really felt kept me clean. I replaced that other addiction with a healthier version of it. But
I think all addicts do that in some way.
Yeah. And so my younger son, like, he's asked about it from when he was a little kid. Like he drew one on his own arm when he was like 4.
Cute.
And so I've been able to be pretty open with him. He knows all about it too.
That's good.
I just feel like there's no reason for me to hide it from them. And I'd rather them hear about my stuff from me than anybody else. But because of that, we've been very open with our kids about drugs and alcohol and the different things that I went through, so that they don't go through that. And so far, we've been pretty lucky. They haven't done any of that stuff. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Let's see. Do you have any words of wisdom that you would give to your younger self?
My younger self?
Mm-hmm.
Go to therapy.
Go to therapy.
When my dad died, we had six kids. I was the oldest, and none of us were put in therapy. None of us went to therapy. I'm not even sure if any of the other ones have gone to therapy at this point yet. The only reason I went is I was kind of forced to, but
Yeah.
I think had I gone to therapy and really looked at some of the stuff that I had, some of the traumas that I had, I might have been able to avoid it, or at least stop it before it got to a point where it almost, took everything away from me. So yeah, I think everybody should do therapy, should try it. Like, even as a therapist, I go to therapy every week. Yeah. So I think it's been very helpful. I think it's helped keep me further away from it than it would have been if I'd just done that. So yeah, it would have been, go to therapy, maybe not pick up some, don't take the pain pills that they give you just because they give them to you.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of, I really do believe in therapy. That's the other reason I started my practice. And
what's your practice called?
It's called A Way Back Counseling.
A Way Back Counseling?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just here in Washington. I've got 3 therapists that work for me, and yeah, so just a little practice, but we
That's
kind of,
awesome,
we've worked with addicts and that kind of stuff and try to help them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is way cool. Yeah, I was that person who was like, I do not want to go to therapy. I don't want to go sit down with someone and talk about my problems with somebody that I don't know, that doesn't know me. But I actually really liked
What
it.
What made you decide to go do that?
My breaking point probably was my first overdose. And some neighbor kids found me on the garage floor downstairs, and then my second overdose happened like a month later, and I was just to the point where I was like, I can't, like, I'm either gonna die or I gotta figure something out. So I went to therapy, and I actually really liked it.
It's not too bad, actually. I didn't think I would like it. My wife made me go, and the courts made me go at different points in my journey. It wasn't until recently that I chose to go on my own. So yeah, I've been forced to go, but I have liked it. I think I've learned a lot more about myself than I ever thought I could. So yeah.
That's awesome. What else can I ask you? Oh, do you have any crazy stories? Like, besides you're robbing the pharmacy, anything else crazy that you did while you were in your addiction?
Mine was fairly straightforward, other than, like, I had pretty good access to pills for a number of years, and that's kind of been kind of hard, because even now I could walk into a doctor. I've got the scars on my back, and I've had 3 back surgeries. And I could still get pain pills. I've even gone in, to the pain clinic, and they've offered them. So I haven't really ever had to do a lot. I did take any pills from, people if I was around and they were there, they were gone, that stuff. But as far as like crazy stories, I tried to kind of keep that all like away from my family, away from anyone. I didn't want anyone to know. And so I didn't really do anything real crazy other than robbing a pharmacy. I guess that's
in a painter's mask.
Yeah, I went right to the top of crazy with my stuff. So yeah, I was pretty sneaky with it, and like I said, nobody knew how. They knew that I took pain pills, but they also kind of expected it with my back and stuff, but nobody knew the extent of it. And so I think I went right to the top of it. And,
robbing a pharmacy.
That chased down by the cops. And so
jeez, that's wild.
Yeah, so I don't think I need to do anything else crazy.
That was crazy enough for you.
Yeah, that was, going to jail twice, I think, was good enough for me.
Jail's no fun.
Yeah.
All right, well, I appreciate you so much, and I'm so happy to see that there's people out there that are willing to share their stories. And
congratulations to you on your sobriety.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah. Well, thank you to Derek, and that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.